And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Frankly Football YouTube channel. I'm Brandon. That's Chris.
What's going on, B? How you feeling today, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's Hump Day, so this is the
Hump
slowest day
day.
of the week.
Yep. Great day to get on here and talk a little football,
Oh
break
yeah,
some things
any day is
down.
a good day to talk ball. Let's get
Any
that
day.
straight now.
Any day.
So last time we went into a pretty long conversation about our expectations
Right.
for the offense going
Right.
into the 2020 season. Today we're gonna do it a little different. Our last video was a little long, so we're gonna kind of break this one down by position group. This time
Gotcha.
for the defense.
Gotcha. Okay.
So let's start off, front first. Let's go towards the front four or more, depending on how they do it. The defensive line.
Right.
Ending the 2019 season and coming into now, what do you think about the defensive line?
Well, the defensive line has finally changed. It went from being a four-man front, and our four-man front being to the point of having undersized guys in the middle. If anybody knows how the Cowboys run a 4-3 defense, we go with a defensive tackle, 1-3 technique with two defensive ends. So we've turned around in our situation. Have always had undersized defensive tackles, going as far back as Jay Ratcliffe. And then you turn around, you had, you got now, you got Radcliffe, and now you've got Antoine Wood. So they've always liked the small Malik Collins, the guy who wants to penetrate, quick penetrating up front, because that was the philosophy of Rod Marinelli. He was always looking for a Warren Sapp clone. He was trying to find what he had success with in Tampa and transition it over. And that's really what they were looking for up the middle. And then having, the basic, the left end, and then your pass rush and right defensive end. And so the defensive line, that's what we normally went with. And that being the case, you always had a deficiency in some area. Right now, we've got our stud guy, which is DeMarcus Lawrence at left defensive end.
That's right.
Usually, most teams have the dominating right defensive end. And we're going to talk about each of those aspects of it. But I think, with the upfront, they've changed. They went from undersized guys to getting guys of size, guys of girth that can help free up those linebackers that we have to be able to go make plays, flow make plays.
And I can't really say I was ever a big fan of the NASCAR package, just getting smaller, faster guys that'll go in there, because when offensive linemen get their hands on them, unless they the cream of the crop, they stuck.
Right. The NASCAR package got familiar with the New York Giants with their package.
Yes,
when
sir.
They had O.C. Umenor, Michael Strahan, Jason Tucker, and I can't even remember the other guy. But if you remember, all those guys were defensive ends and very large defensive tackles. And so, those guys were built for that. Dallas always turned around and tried to find that one guy who was an undersized guy on the cheap and to place him into that position and have him do that. And I was never a fan of either. It ended up getting you gashed, or it made it to the point that person had to make a miraculous play to make plays. And that really hurt you so many times, because a guy had to either play out of his mind, or was a lot of tricks and stunts to be able to get to the quarterback.
That's right.
And that hurt you.
Last year's stunts were a big part of the defense. And
Absolutely.
All of those guys being undersized were a reason that we struggled against the run so much.
Yeah, and one guy, and we'll be able to get into him in a little bit when we talk about defensive line, you had certain guys missing. And because you had certain cogs of the machine missing, it worked against you with other guys getting exposed.
Definitely. Even though he was good, some guys, Robert Quinn, for example, just weren't that good against the run. So that pushed you back against the wall in that situation anyway. So you have two things that are kind of stacked against you. Robert Quinn wasn't the greatest against the run, and then having undersized defensive tackles who can't really get penetration, that sets you up for failure.
In any football team, especially with a pass rush, you want to be able to compress the pocket. And people who are talking and listening to us, you want to be able to turn around and be able to penetrate through A and B gap, being able to hold that and do what you need to be able to do, and then collapse the pockets and let your defensive ends have a meeting at the quarterback. Without having the dynamic people up front, Antoine Woods this year regressing, Malik Collins not having the breakout year you were expecting him to have, and then the rotation behind them. the one guy everybody wants to get rid of in Dallas, and we will just get into it, is Tyrone Crawford, because
I don't
everybody's talking
understand
about.
why.
Well, it goes back to the point how the Cowboys fans, they want to eat their young, they want to eat their own. So you don't have Tyrone Crawford all year, and you don't understand that he is so versatile. He can go inside, can play outside, eat up snaps, but also be effective in so many different ways. That's what really hurt him last year. He can play right defensive end and give you a little bit of penetration.
Yes.
He can turn around and play some 3 technique for you. He can go ahead and spell DeMarcus Lawrence at the left end. He is the Swiss Army knife of the football team for the defensive line.
And he's making around, I believe this year is still $11 million. It was 11 and a half last year.
It's like 9 million, but he's invaluable because of what he allows you to do with so many different pieces when you didn't have dominating people in the middle. I think now with the addition, with the subtraction of Malik Collins, with Antoine Woods and having signed his restricted tender yet, I think putting Gerald McCoy. Now we're not getting Gerald McCoy of 5 years ago. We're getting Gerald McCoy of
the next stage of his career.
That's right. And so now he may have maybe 1, maybe 2 more years left, and that's why the Cowboys signed him the way they did.
Yes.
But you also get Dontari Poe in the same position. But it gives you the opportunity to do 2 things that you need to be able to do. To get your young guys behind them acclimated to the NFL, get them on a full-fledged NFL work program, and then get them snaps without having to be progress stoppers.
Absolutely.
So
I feel like
I
feel like especially with Poe, that gives us finally size in the middle.
Absolutely.
That's something that we have been missing for a long time. So you can
Very
get somebody
long.
to eat up B-gap and go from there. Now, Jared McCoy, he actually, not in a negative way, went down on some size. He looks in amazing shape. So I think that he brings you, at this point, from what I can assume, a good mix of size and power because he's still bigger than the guys that we had before.
Absolutely. He's size. He has, he's going to be quicker. He's going to have, and he's always been a better player than Malik Collins. Malik Collins was. Not saying Malik Collins was a bad player, but he gives you that explosion. And if you can keep a Gerald McCoy under 45, 50 snaps, but also work in a Tristan Hill, work in a Neville Gallimore, and get those guys, inside the system, I think it'll be a great attribute for the Cowboys this year because you have a rotation of guys.
And Tristan Hill doesn't have to be pressed to jump into a starting role right now. We have reliable veterans in front of him because Tristan Hill, in a way, was set up for failure last year. Yes, he didn't perform to the manner that we expected of him, but he was expected to come in and have starting quality snaps. And we have to remember, he was not a first rounder. Defensive tackles, defensive linemen in general, unless they are the cream of the crop guys, don't come in and light the world on fire.
I mean, unless they're Aaron Donald, right? Let's go with a name that last year everybody is a Cowboy fan. When they saw him in the draft, everybody was falling in love and think we should go get him. Vita Vea.
Yes.
Vita Vea went to Tampa. Vita Vea played, but you didn't hear a lot about Vita Vea during the year.
Average.
Yeah, right. It was mixed reviews, right?
Yeah.
So what ends up happening, the Cowboys, because you turn around with Rob Marinelli and his position of having to win now. That was the one thing that Tristan Hill did not need to have in front of him. He had in front of him last year, he had Antoine Woods in a contract year, Malik Collins in a contract year, Christian Covington on a 1-year deal, right? And Kerry Hyder coming in who had taken up snaps as a 3 technique. So you had 4 guys right there alone who were in front of your second-round guy, right?
All veterans who have time in the league.
Right. So they were going to be better than Tristan Hill last year. So you turn around, well, he's not playing. He must be a bust. It was a terrible pick. No, having an opportunity for him to be there, learn from some pros, work on his body, work on some different techniques, it gets him ready. Now, this year, he can get quality snaps, and that sets you up for the one thing the Cowboys want more than anything else, cheap labor. Effective, young, talented players on cheap deals. That's what you want. Because you can turn around this year and have Tristan Hill there playing as a 3 technique, playing behind playing behind Gerald McCoy, getting snaps. You got Neville Gallimore, who we drafted this year we drafted him in the 3rd round. He's going to get some snaps, but he doesn't have to come in and have to perform and get 35 snaps. If Neville Gallimore, go ahead.
Here's the thing.
Right.
If Neville come in and just beat Tristan, then it is what it is. Because we picked up guys in the free agent market, and Tristan kind of got to fight for those even backup snaps at this point.
I don't think as much as everyone is in love with Neville Gallimore, I don't think Neville Gallimore comes in and beats Tristan Hill out.
I'm just saying that if he does,
absolutely.
If he doesn't, then okay. Right. Neville won't get cut because he can't beat Tristan.
Absolutely. Right.
But if Tristan can't beat Neville, then it kind of looks bad on him because
it does.
It looks awful on him because
Absolutely.
he underperformed last year, and then he comes in and potentially loses to the new rookie, the new shiny rookie that the new coaches picked. You can't forget, none of these coaches on this defense picked Tristan Hill.
And that's fine. I totally understand that. But what you can't substitute is a full year in the NFL program. You cannot substitute the fact of the matter that he knows that the coaching staff that's here now didn't pick him. So if he wants to stay in the league, which I'm pretty sure he does, I'm pretty sure he comes and he shows and he proves, and he comes and gets you quality snaps this year.
Absolutely.
Right.
I really, really am excited for Dontari Poe in particular. I feel that he is the most versatile defensive tackle that we have. In fact, he's the only one that has a snap on offense.
Absolutely. I've wanted Dontari Poe since he came into the league.
Absolutely.
I loved him from the very beginning. Always thought he was an explosive, one technique, being able to bounce around and play around the league and play at a high level. So I've always loved him. And I'm glad he's finally in Dallas. Wish we had had him maybe 2-3 years ago, but I'm excited about having him in the middle in that rotation between the 1 and 3 technique.
Definitely. I feel like he's going to give us more in B gap than any D tackle that we had last year. I'm predicting that right now.
I think
he gives you the size.
I think Maliek Collins always had the point of solid player, gave you a really good rookie year with 5 sacks, but never just took that next step up. Always to the point of having maybe little nagging injuries in the offseason. Maybe you couldn't work on technique and things of that nature to make him better, but he never took that next step up. And that was the one thing I was always looking for with him. And but solid player, solid player. But I think with him, with the guys you have coming behind him, I think it sets the table for them as well.
Definitely. I wish him nothing but the best, but
absolutely
there's a 40-pound difference between him and Poe.
In the
middle, that is invaluable.
Huge. That's invaluable because it gives you the opportunity to let your linebackers run, flow, and do what they do best.
Especially in this season when they're talking about letting Jalen rush the passer more.
Right.
We'll get to that in the next part.
Absolutely.
Let's move to the outside though.
Go ahead.
So, D-Law is still on the left. I think that the left end position is, of course, the most important. You think about the impact that Lawrence Taylor made at the position, made it popular. But I don't think D-Law's job is to get the high numbers of sacks. His job is to give the threat of that and to eat up double teams.
Right.
And that'll open up the job for the right side. I think it's the right side's job, whoever that may be, to get us all of those sack numbers.
I think DeMarcus Lawrence is a technician. DeMarcus Lawrence is not the physical freak. He's a technician, but I do think as a left defensive end, he is absolute, without question, the lead. He's worth every dime that you pay him.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think
if only for as many double teams as he eats. That is what makes him valuable.
Right, makes him invaluable to the point that he can work on his side, make it to the point that you have to respect him. You know he's coming. And I think him coming off an injury-plagued season, even though he played most of the year, I think he maybe sat out maybe the last game or so, to kind of work on his shoulder. But I think having a full off season, having the ability for him to work out, get bigger, get stronger, get that shoulder back to 100%, he's going to come off the edge screaming next year with his hair on fire. And I think
D-Law had the situation with waiting to get his surgery as well. So
Right.
he already had something against him. He has a
Yes.
full off season of health
Yes.
time around.
Yes.
So
Right.
his performance can really only go up from a health standpoint.
Right. I think, last year he had 5 sacks,
Yep.
dropping down from 10 the year before, 14 his breakout year. So I think, without question, DeMarcus Lawrence is a leader what he does. So I think given all, like you said, you said the nail on the head, Brandon, having a full offseason, he'll be back to normal.
Absolutely. So we are clearly going to miss Robert Quinn. He got us value for his price point. What are you expecting at the right end position?
I don't think I'm going to miss Robert Quinn. I think I'm going to miss the fact of the matter that what sacks are a funny statistic, okay? You go with Shaq Barrett, who led the league in sacks this year, right? Led the league. I think it was with 15 sacks this year. So you want to get sacks, but you want to get pressure to the point that causes teams to make mistakes. Shaq Barrett had 15 sacks, but his team still ended up being 9-7, missing the playoffs.
Yep.
So I think the defensive line has to work in conjunction in the whole for them to be better to help the back end. So I think with Robert Quinn, I got 11 sacks, okay? But were those game-changing sacks? Did I get strip sacks, strip fumbles, things of that nature? And so I think coming to this year, if I can get a compilation or a hodgepodge, I don't like to say by committee, but if I can get a hodgepodge of guys off the right side giving me work and getting to that number of 11, maybe 15, then I win. I don't have to have one guy.
Who's the main guy that gets you that production? Is it Crawford? Is it Anai, the rookie? Who's going to be that guy that you want to plug in there?
Well, first off, you gotta say his name. People who are Harry Potter fans have ever watched Harry Potter, there's a guy in there called Lord Voldemort. And Lord Voldemort is never spoken of. You don't say his name because you're afraid of him.
That's
Lord Voldemort for me is Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory, by far, falling out of bed, is by far the best pass rusher on this football team. His athletic ability, his speed, his bend is insane. So being away from the game for 2 years or a year and change, Randy Gregory is going to be fine. I think
we're paying him pennies.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're paying him next to nothing. Paying him next to nothing. So and I think you got his right for another 2 years.
That's right.
With next to
he got an extension.
Right.
It's still only I think a total of $1.5 million.
Right. So for him coming in and coming back, I think it'll be great. I think with the addition on the right side of Randy Gregory, then the addition of Aldon Smith, 7 years removed. Now, everybody's been excited about that. And so what I expect from him is this. With this pandemic and everything and people working out, when you first start working out, you don't go right out and try to run 3 miles.
Of course.
You probably go do a mile of walking to get your body back acclimated. So right now, as you saw with Gerald McCoy, he looks amazing, right? Because he's just working out. But ain't nobody beating on him. Ain't nobody punching him. Ain't nobody hitting him. And so Aldon Smith hasn't had anybody lean on him for 5 to 6 years. So he can look great. He can be cut up like dope money. All he wants. But
it's a family show.
I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, he hasn't had anybody push or pull or drag on him. That's right. If I can get 5 sacks from Randy Gregory, I can turn around and get 2 to 3, maybe 4 from Aldon Smith. That gives me 9. I had 11 last year. I'm not that far off.
But here's the thing. I don't want to set up expectations for Randy Gregory and Aldon Smith. Year before last, 2018, there were real expectations for Randy Gregory to come in, and you were really looking for him to save your defense. I don't think we need that this year. If we get it, it's great. The same goes with Aldon Smith. If we get production, it's great. But I don't want to include it in the equation because it is unfair to expect that from him. Anything you get from him, you playing with house money. That's like you finding some money on the floor in the casino and then hitting the slot machine.
Find your chip, right?
Yeah, you just find one chip.
My thing is, I think with Aldon Smith, I have little expectations.
Yes.
But for Randy Gregory, I have expectations. I have 5 sacks out of Randy. I expect Randy Gregory to give me 5 sacks in a 16-game season,
Mm-hmm.
and having a full off season. We're waiting for his reinstatement to come through, but having a full off season, I expect at least 5. That's how highly I think of him. Then if you throw in the rookie Bradley Anae, then I can see him being able to work, learn, and develop. Maybe 1 to 2 sacks from him in a full season.
I can see 2.
Right, 2.
It depends really on the production of Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory, though.
Right.
Because you have so many guys that could potentially be in front of Anae, that will he see a lot of time?
Well, but the thing about it, if you look at the defensive ends, let's say if you line them up day one, you're gonna go with DeMarcus Lawrence at the left. Well, you can go with Crawford, but Crawford can play both left and right.
Yes.
If I turn around and I got Aldon Smith and I've got Randy Gregory, but I can also bring Anae in, he can be my 4th or 5th pass rusher. And because Anae can work both sides, and I think he was one of the guys I was jumping up and down hoping.
I like his versatility.
His versatility is amazing. His versatility, the way he plays, the way he uses his hands, he has a plan when he rushes the passer.
That's
he doesn't
right.
just rush to the guy. He always has a plan. And because he has a plan, I think he'll be effective. I don't expect him to have some breakout 10-sack season. But 1 to 2 solid play, I think Bradley Anae will be great. And I think that gets me to my 11.
I could see 11 coming from, and I won't say the word, I'll say the hodgepodge.
Absolutely.
I could see 11 coming from those guys.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this, just because I was actually interested in this process. Do you think that Randy Gregory hasn't been as proactive on the process for his reinstatement as Aldon Smith was? Because Aldon Smith got reinstated fairly quickly after he signed with the Cowboys. Randy Gregory, we just got word last week that he was just having the conversations. Do you think that he's been a little slow on the process?
The thing with Randy, and a lot of times you have to look in to find out from different writers. Bobby Belt does a lot of insight on him. Brian Broaddus, when he was with the Cowboys, he did a lot of stuff with him.
He was really soft towards Randy Gregory.
And so I think a lot of time, and I think with Randy, I think it's just to the point the Cowboys would not have given him that extension if they didn't know he was already kind of in the mix of doing what he needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yeah, I don't even think Randy failed the drug test. I think Randy he just didn't answer the phone one night at 2 o'clock in the morning when the guy called him. Or he got tired of going somewhere and he was like, I'm going to go to the grocery store right quick. And he didn't answer his phone call or something.
So I think with that, and so I think that's what kind of put him in, purgatory to say with the NFL. But I think with the changing with the CBA and the ability for these guys to have a higher, the testing levels being changed, I think Randy will be fine. I think Randy gets back, he runs underneath the radar. He's been probably doing the same things of working and keeping his body in a certain place, and I think he'll be fine. I think Randy will be fine. I think some of the other guys that we don't talk about as much are going to have some time to really show themselves too. I think Jalen Jelks will have a good offseason. I think he's going to be a problem. I think Joe Jackson has an opportunity.
He's going to be a guy that I mentioned. Because I feel like Bradley Anae gives us what he doesn't. Joe Jackson is a guy, he's just going to go up there and beat you up. Finesse isn't really his game. He's gonna use physicality and violence.
Big, strong, heavy-handed cat.
Yes, that's what he does to get past his man. And we knew that when we drafted him. That's why we knew, taking him in the 5th round last year that we were gonna have to, teach him the art form a little bit.
Right. The different nuances of being a pass rusher. Right.
Yes.
So I think the guy who's in the biggest trouble here is Dorance Armstrong.
Thank you.
Dorance Armstrong. Dorance Armstrong is, if I see Dorance Armstrong get cut, I wouldn't be amazed in the slightest, because I think Jelks and Jackson give you more upside for less money on a cheaper deal than Dorance Armstrong does. I think Dorance Armstrong is tapped out of where he can be.
I would hope not. Because this is his 3rd or 4th year?
This will be his 3rd year.
Okay. This is his third year. he has all of the cards against him because Tyrone Crawford can come in and do what he does.
Right. Right.
Bradley Anae already does what he doesn't. Joe Jackson, I think, is just stronger than him.
Right.
Jalen Jelks, I like him. That's all I can really say. I like Jalen Jelks. I like him.
Listen, I like the frame. I like the 6'7". I like the 6'7", quick. I like a lot that goes along with Jalen Jelks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jalen Jelks is measurables. It intrigues me. It's kind of not to the same degree because I was really big on this guy. Oh man, why can't I remember his name? David Irving. There we go. It's a similar thing to David Irving. I loved David Irving's measurables. He's just an anomaly, and not to the same degree, but I got the same feelings about Jalen Jelks. I love on paper what he has. The things you can't teach size.
No, you can't teach size. You can't teach quickness. You can't teach those different things. But you can teach fundamentals. You can teach different techniques. So I think he comes in and is a part of that. That's why last year was so disheartening for us as Cowboy fans because you had so much promise, but you had so many people with "you got to get it done now" labels on them that it really hurt working out this year. Hurt last year because going 8-8 and you had so many people with just 1-year deals. They were like, hey, it was like I said, NFC or bust for them. And I think that's what really hurt on the defensive line.
Absolutely. So I just want to make sure, how do you feel about Crawford? Are you in the cut Crawford camp?
Oh, no, I'm not about cutting good, reliable players. We had a guy a couple years ago, I think he ended up going to the Raiders, Jack Crawford.
Yes.
Jack Crawford was a do-it-all Army Swiss knife type of guy. You could put him anywhere. He wasn't the greatest player, but he was absolutely serviceable, and he helped work different games with other players to get them to the ultimate point. Because somebody's got to be the guy to take the punch that has the other person to get released so he can go make the play.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Jack Crawford was.
Theoretically, outside of DeMarcus Ware, Tyrone Crawford could start at any of those other positions because he has the versatility that one, maybe two other defensive linemen have.
Well, I think he's always been asked to, okay, put on weight. We want you to play 3 technique. Oh, no, we want you to slim down. We want you to play defensive end. So he's never had an opportunity to stay at one place, work that position, and be able to be great at it. Marinelli wanted him to be a 3 technique, but he was always a defensive end.
Yes.
Coming out of Boise State, he was a defensive end. But Marinelli wanted to transition to a 3 technique. And then when he ended up having that year, he ended up getting he ended up popping positive on his drug test.
Yep.
That hurt him that year. And then he ended up getting hurt. So it was always something with Tyrone Crawford. He's always been a good soldier. He's always been a guy that you can count on to be a locker room guy in the whole nine. So I really look forward to keeping Tyrone Crawford for the money that I'm paying him, because to pay him $8 million a year and be able to have him to be able to move all up and down my defensive line, I'm not going to find that anywhere. It's amazing. We talked about value in the draft. Tyrone Crawford is a great value for this football team.
Do you think that because he was in form to play right defensive end last year, do you think that he stays in that position, or do you think he bulks up and moves inside?
I think he turns around, he just plays defensive end. He can play right or left. I think with the reinstatement of Olin Smith, with the soon-to-come reinstatement of Randy Gregory, and the addition of Anae, I think you have your 4. You maybe add one more defensive end, maybe Jelks or Jackson, whoever wins there, and that's your defensive end. That's your defensive end rotation. That's 6 guys right there. That's 6
at
defensive
one
ends right
position.
There.
Not even both ends. That's one.
Right. Because Jelks can probably play right. But you got Lawrence Jackson can both play left, right? Crawford can play right. Gregory can play right. Smith can play either side. Yeah, you got 5. You got guys. You got bodies there.
Okay. So going into the first preseason game, well, not even the first preseason game, going into camp, what are your starters at D-line?
First set of reps,
Yep.
I'm going DeMarcus Lawrence,
Of
going
course.
McCoy, Poe, and Tyrone Crawford.
All right, there we
That's gonna be
go.
my first. That's gonna be my starting line. That's starting out.
That makes the
I'll
most
have them
sense.
start out. Huh?
It makes the most sense.
It makes the most sense, and then you find out what guys give you. You
That's right.
find out what Alden Smith can give you. You find out what Randy Gregory can give you. You see if Joe Jackson made the jump. You want to find out if Dorrance Armstrong still wants to, make mortgage payments in Dallas. That's what you find out, and
You're
you
right.
go from there. That's it.
Even though I don't want to count on him, I am still willing to give Randy Gregory every excuse to fail, every reason attempt to fail. So I would say everything except for the right defensive end. I would give him as many starting reps as possible because
Listen,
I want him to succeed.
talent will give you the opportunity to get chance after chance after chance in his life. If you're talented and you have the ability now to have the one thing that kept you off the field, which was your need for whatever substance that he was using to control anxiety and things of that nature, and still be able to play at the level he was, listen, I have no problem with that.
Yeah,
I'm giving Randy Gregory
I'm
the
not going
opportunity
to
to
crucify him for something that is fine for him to do now.
That the law says it's okay to do. He's within legal bounds to do that. So that's what I'm looking at. I think my defensive line helps me go from that 19th ranking of last year. Think about that. 19th ranking last year. That's that's middle of the pack, and I was 8-8.
Yeah, I could see them jumping up to, I want to say at minimum 12.
Well, you came out of 2018 a top 5 defense.
Mm-hmm.
You're a top 5 team in total defense, 2018. To turn back now in 2019 and drop 14 spots, there are a lot of things that go along with dropping those 14 spots, and I think we'll be able to get into that when we start talking about the linebackers in a second.
I'm excited about that part.
That's right,
but
man.
That's it for this time. We'll come back with you at the next position. We can move back step by step. We're going to the linebackers next. This has been Brandon. That's Chris. Thank you for watching Franklin Football. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. Thank you.